Okay, this one is for all of my beginner video creators, whether that's on YouTube, Instagram Reels, TikToks, whatever. I'm gonna give you 3 ingredients in the recipe that even some of the pros aren't doing that's gonna set your content apart from the very beginning. It has nothing to do with lighting, nothing to do with a fancy camera, and you already have everything you need, and I promise you, you're not gonna hear this anywhere else. Hi, I'm Justin Schumann. I've been a Broadway actor, I am a professional storyteller by trade, and I've helped hundreds of people to craft their personal brands and build better content by approaching things from an authentic and human standpoint. Which means that the way that I actually watch content is also very different than most people because I'm not looking at it and thinking of, oh, that structure was not great in their short. Well, I'm not looking at it and just going, that structure wasn't great in their short form, or I don't feel like they really made their point clearly. I'm watching it and going, do I really have a sense of who this person is? And the craziest thing is, now after watching this video, because you'll see it and then you can never unsee it, you're gonna go back and watch some of the content of the people you love the most and be like, wow, I don't know if I always connect to them because they're not doing some of these things. Which is why you as a beginner are gonna have such a head start because you're gonna know at least 3 things that you can be incorporating into your videos from the very beginning so that you have complete and total creative control over the kind of product you wanna create and hopefully the emotional response it actually evokes from your viewers. Because if you can make videos that connect deeply with your audience, building that aligned following, so much easier. Finding trust in that back and forth between you and your people, almost instantaneous and happens without you thinking about it. So let's dive into it. Because like I said before, it has nothing to do with the fanciest of cameras, has nothing to do with lighting, and in a way that does and it doesn't, and we'll talk about that in a future video. Now we're gonna talk about 3 very tactical, granular things you can do or things you don't have to do or things you can choose how you do that actually create an energetic response in your videos. I think it's gonna make much more sense even after I go through one of these examples. So for instance, we've all been on TikTok and we've been on Instagram Reels and we've seen those little clippy bippy ones where people take 2 seconds of content, 2 seconds of content, 2 seconds of content, and they just put those little clips together. We know that sort of content for retaining viewership, for keeping interest. It's typically shorter videos that are meant to impart a great deal of value in a very small amount of time. Those videos feel very, very differently than, think of one of your favorite creators and think of one long video they've done that's just completely continuous. There's no cuts, there's nothing. What's the difference? Well, to me, when I record continuous videos myself, I am basically making a statement saying, what you see is what you get. I didn't stop once to stop this. I haven't reconsidered any of my stances or the way that I'm going to say things. It's an inherently scary, risky thing to do because you're saying, I'm just going to allow you to see me as I was for this 4.5 minute continuous chunk. Now, I find that in my own experience, because these are the pieces for me that perform very, very well on TikTok, especially the very long ones, which I know is completely anomalous to the platform, but it's also why I'm here now on YouTube to do some more long form. I know that these are the ones that make my audience lean in. These are the ones that really start to build that trust with my people because they are like, wow, he is just allowing me to see him completely revealed as he was for this chunk of time. There's no cuts. I feel like I really got a glimpse into who he is as a person and the way that he constructs his thoughts, the way that he has his feelings, and the way that he tells his story. Now, I absolutely do some of the other like boop, 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 boop. And you'll see typically on YouTube, if you watch any of my other videos, it's mostly clips. Right? Because the longer the video, the more of a chance that you're gonna slip up. The more of a chance you're gonna say something that comes out not exactly in the way that you want it to. But those kinds of videos don't tend to feel as revealed. They don't feel as vulnerable or naked because they are crafted. Decisions were made after the fact once it was filmed of what to highlight, what to show, and what order. And you can see that. Those cuts, those internal snips were decisions that were made. Every decision you make when you're making a video changes the possible emotional response of the person watching it. So again, to put them side by side, continuous says, see me as I am for this continuous chunk of time. I'm going to just allow you to be present with me as I have these thoughts. The other version is a little bit more crafted and curated. Nothing wrong with it, but it says I want to efficiently convey a certain amount of information to you. And the feeling somebody might get from watching that is like, wow, that was so value packed. I got so much info in such a short amount of time. I'm definitely gonna hit follow for this creator because I know they're always gonna teach me and they possibly have the solution to what ails me. The second decision that I want to talk to you about is handheld versus propping up your camera. Now you might go like, I've never even considered this. I always just hold my phone when I record. Okay, that's great. But what's the difference in feeling that that does to your audience member than if you were to put your phone on a tripod or you're gonna prop it up against a mug while you film at your counter? The difference is actually pretty significant. Think about your favorite creator who is more vlog style, right? Maybe they take you on trips across the world or they go to new restaurants with you and they eat food and they tell you what the food tastes like. Their phone is probably here, whatever kind kind of camera they're recording on, and you really feel like you are there with them. There's this haphazard sense to it. It's this, the word isn't dangerous, but there's a lack of polish because you are really just with them as they go through this journey. There's no stabilization applied. You are just present for the rockiness of whatever they're experiencing as they experience it. It also can feel more personal, a little less presentational perhaps, because it is so in the moment and caught. As opposed to, if you were going to prop up your phone or your camera, there is premeditation here. There is this idea of whether I've summoned everything that I want to say or not, I am setting out to put this on tape. I have something to say, I have a story to tell, I have some information to teach. For instance, here, you're going to see on YouTube more often than not propped up cameras and phones. Well, why is that? Well, YouTube as a platform has been around forever, first of all. Second of all, because of that, we expect a certain level of production value here on YouTube. Third of all, YouTube really does set itself apart by those standards. Again, when you think of your favorite creators specifically on YouTube, don't most of them have setups like this? You're gonna get the blurry background, you're gonna get some really nice lighting, and you're gonna get cameras and phones that are completely propped up and stable. There is an element of finished to this. It feels a bit more polished, a bit more elevated. Now, it's not better or worse, it's just a different feeling. If you go look at my content on TikTok, which you should, because I think I'm the same version of me, but it's a very different presentation of the information that I have to share, you might feel totally differently about the way that I communicate who I am as a person and the information that I want to teach you. Because most of my content is with my phone and it's me holding it. In fact, I actually don't like to record propped up content for TikTok all that much, unless, going back to before, it's a long continuous video where I just don't want to think about holding the phone, I just want to have it there, and I can talk and I can be myself without overthinking where am I holding my phone and what is this doing right now. Now, interestingly, you could show up with the very same energy, say it's casual, whether your phone or camera is handheld or it's propped up on a tripod. But this is just an example of how the two might impact your audience differently from an emotional standpoint. When you're watching a video where the phone is handheld, it kind of evokes this FaceTiming with a friend feeling. This doesn't. This kind of gives, we're taking a course, or this is a lecture, which is why sometimes when I'm recording content on a tripod, I then go, I need to be a little bit more colorful. I realize that sometimes propping up my recording device mitigates and eliminates some of the sparkle and zazz that my content might have typically, so I really wanna serve it to you then with my personality. Now that's getting into like the deep end with the ingredients you choose and how they affect others as part of the recipe. And if you're into this sort of information, I'm obsessed with it, so we can do individual breakdowns on any one of these choices or any one of the tens of others that I think about when I show up to create my content. But I don't wanna get in too deep. I wanna give you this overview of these three, and then we can chat and see if you want some more. The last one I wanna talk about is about how finished and done you look when you show up on camera and how casual and easy. So I won't lie, when I record YouTube videos, I do the thing. I shower, I put on a little under eye concealer, I do my hair, I like get ready. This goes back to the former point, which is about how finished do I want these videos to feel. When I show up on TikTok, bitch looks like a mess. When I first started really finding myself on TikTok and getting out of that niche box and sharing the information that I wanted to share in the way that I wanted to share it, I was showing up in my robe with skincare on, hair all over the place, early making a coffee, my voice was like this. I did not care. Because in that moment, I wanted to prioritize the sharing of the information and how I felt in that moment above what do I look like in this moment? Do I care how I'm coming across? Interestingly, I found that my audience really responded to content where I looked pretty blah because I wasn't hiding anything. It was me saying, this is as I was. I didn't change a single thing before I hit this big red button to communicate whatever the thought was. I'm basically telling you, see me as I am and know that I prioritize connecting with you in this moment over fixing my hair. Now, I talk about this a lot with any female identifying clients I work with or folks who wear makeup in general. Makeup, which people will put on before they go on camera, a lot of the time, is meant to correct and fix imperfections, right? It's also an artistic expression of how you want to look, absolutely. But makeup still is and can be a mask. It's one more thing that you are putting between us and you as a creator that is keeping me from really experiencing you energetically. Now, I'm not saying you need to show up on camera with not a stitch of makeup on. I'm just saying, what if you were willing to explore what showing up for your audience looks like in a way where you don't feel perfect, where you actually are a little uncomfortable with how open you're being just from a physical, how you're dressed, from a completely externally facing standpoint. And like I've been talking about this entire video, the two different choices can make vastly different impressions on your audience. Like I said before, the way that you perceive me here on YouTube is probably gonna be different than the way that you perceive me on TikTok. Not because I am different, but the ingredients and the recipes that I use to create my content are widely different. So this is all very fascinating, right? And I'm sure you also have been like, cool, but like, how do I make great videos? Like, do talk to me about the lighting and the camera. And that is all very important. And frankly, I've seen so many videos on that on YouTube. You can find somebody who wants to teach you how to make a good quality video. This is the stuff that you're not gonna see anybody else talk about because it really requires this intersection of storytelling, who you're being, how we receive you, and as a Broadway actor and as a photographer of many, many years, and somebody who tells stories and has helped others to tell their stories most effectively, I am uniquely positioned to do this with you. But why these things? Because no one's considering it. You have so much choice when you show up to create content, when you show up to tell stories, when you show up in your life, period. So the point of this video is not to make you overly concerned about, oh my gosh, I didn't think about whether my video was handheld or how much of my face was taking up the screen and did I wear makeup? It's not about that. It's about the conscious choices you have in life of who you're being at any one moment. Because your choices then affect how people perceive you. Now, ultimately, you don't get to decide what people think of you, if they like you or not, once they are consuming what you've put out there for them to see. But you do have a say in the recipe. You're the chef. How do you wanna cook up you and how do you wanna serve you to the client in this moment? It's very the menu, but I don't mean it in that way. So if this is the very first video you're seeing of me, a little assignment, should you choose to accept it, go check out my TikTok. I know I've said it a few times throughout this video, but I'm curious if you see something different between what I share on here and what I share on there, or Instagram. Or if you were to read some of my writing, do you hear my voice in the same way that you did here? And if I'm not new to you, well, it's great to see you again, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts too, because you do know me and I'm relatively new to YouTube. Do you like what you're seeing? Do you want me to do more stuff like this? Was there one of these particular ingredients that you want me to go more in depth into? Because I can name so many more off the top of my head that I would love to do maybe a series or something about these energetic choices we make when we show up to tell our stories and record our content. Regardless, I am so happy to be here sharing this information because it's things that I felt and wanted to teach about for so long. And I'm very grateful to finally have a place where I can do that in long form. So like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos, and I will see you again real soon.